everyone, and welcome back to this week's show. This is Strangeness in the Liminal Abyss, and I am your show host, SHETAN Noir. And each week, the world just gets that much more curious for us to explore. Now, I won't be doing a show the first week of February because I will be in a very magical place. And magical by literally, I'm going to be surrounded by thousands of tons of crystals and gems and minerals and fossils of all kinds. I'll be at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, which, as I understand it, takes over the whole downtown of Tucson, Arizona. It is the world's biggest gem show. It runs from the middle of January to the middle of February. And I get to explore it. I doubt if I'll conquer it, but I will try to be bringing back as many lovely, pretty little things as I can. Uh, and I have 3 days to do it. Plus, I want to fit in a trip to Tombstone and a trip to the Superstition Mountains. So, the reason I want to go to the Superstition Mountains is it's one of those legendary locations that people always hear whispers about, the Flying Dutchman Mind. Because this mind was supposedly where this huge cache of gold was hidden. But everyone who goes searching for the gold has some tragic accident that takes them. Now, I'm not going hiking in the Superstition Mountains. My time schedule does not allow for that. But I will be going to the Flying Dutchman Museum that's there. My hope is I've always wanted to get either pictures um, or a charcoal rubbing of the supposed stones that had the little landmark symbols in them. I always thought that would be really cool to have, especially like the charcoal scrubbings, where you take a piece of paper and you lay that on. You could do this for like gravestones and stuff like that, monuments, and you put the piece of paper on the monument or the gravestone or whatever it might be, and then you rub the charcoal on the side that's facing you, and it gives you the relief of what the actual image is. I just thought that would be really cool to get. So I don't know if that's actually something you can do. Maybe I can just take pictures of them. Maybe they sell little copies of it, of the little different little symbols. But I just thought that would be something really cool to do. And someday, someday when I get my business office actually done, um, and have all of my different artifacts and monuments or mementos and things of that nature up in my office, I think that would be something cool to hang on the wall. Um, someday I'll get that done. Right now, it's just enough to keep my craft room uh, organized. If you've ever met my little boy Connor, he loves to help mommy with arts and crafts. Even when mommy's not in the room, he's very good at finding glitter that's on the top shelf, feathers, sequins, paint. Um, he's decorated himself in multitude of different mediums. So, in between trying to keep my craft room organized from his help and just the surplus of books that I continually receive and buy to review for my different magazines. Yeah, I have quite the collection, but someday, hopefully, when my business office is done, I can have really cool things up on the wall, um, just to point at and say, "Okay, let's talk about this today." Um, and one of those things that I would be putting up in my office would be the very first Bigfoot print that I was ever able to cast. And the cast I will always be proud of because it actually turned out really, really well. And it was actually on a gentleman's property here in Michigan. And there was a bunch of us who went out um, to investigate or at least see what this gentleman was explaining to us. And he did have multiple track sites around his house. So it wasn't just myself who cast the track. There was a group of us who were all able to take turns casting the track and getting the different tracks that were there. We didn't all use the same track. There was a couple different ones that we were all able to cast. Now, my feet, I wear a size 11 women's shoes, a size 10 men's shoes. And this cast is about 3 inches wider than my foot at its widest point and extends about 4 inches past the tip of my big toe. So to me, this is a big foot when I consider that that would probably be about a size 15 shoe for a human being of what this cast was. That's a pretty big footprint. Um, Certainly, there's human beings out there with shoes that size, but it's not very common. And I highly doubt there was any NBA basketball players running around this gentleman's property leaving foot tracks. Um, Certainly, the damage that was done to his trailer was not left by any human beings. Um, we're talking very sizable rocks being moved. We're talking about the frame of the trailer itself being almost pushed off of the stone pillars that they put on. For people who aren't familiar with how um, mobile home trailers or manufactured home trailers are leveled onto the ground, they put a series of stone blocks underneath different points of the frame of the trailer. And what they're attempting to do is completely balance it so that it's off of the ground. And that's why you see the skirting going around the bottom half of the mobile trailers. But what they're trying to do is make it so that the entire trailer is level so that you don't have any warping of the flooring. Um, it's level to walk on. People aren't sliding from the front to the back or the back to the front at an angle. And the trailers themselves are quite heavy. So for something to be able to hit the side of a trailer and move it to the degree that, this trailer was being moved, that, is quite impressive and something that you typically do not see every day. So someday I will have that foot cast up on my wall or on a bookshelf somewhere so that I can point to it and say, "Let's talk about this." Um, a cast that I wish I would have gotten a cast of is the Dogman footprint that I came across. I want to say it was 3 summers ago. I was on my way up to Menominee, Michigan for the Bigfoot conference up there. And this was on the shores of Lake Michigan, very castable tracks too. But I wasn't expecting to find footprints. I had stopped at the rest area right there outside of Nubian Way on Lake Michigan. And this is up in the Upper Peninsula, top of Lake Michigan, bottom portion of the Upper Peninsula. And I was walking up and down the beach for me and my dog just to get some circulation going because at that point I had been driving about 8 hours and still had several more hours to drive. And as we were walking along the eastern part of the shoreline right there at the rest area, I came across these large tracks. Now, I didn't have anything to cast tracks with. The closest town was Nubian Way. And at that time in the morning, it was before 8 a.m. So there was nothing open for me to go get casting materials from. And like I said, I wasn't expecting to find any tracks. I was just walking my dog up and down the beach for something, for us to stretch our legs and maybe for her to go potty. I was not expecting to come across a full trackway leading down the beach into the water. So what I was able to do was take pictures of the cast with my foot being the measurement. I made sure my foot was in the picture right next to one of the footprints. And seeing as I will always have the same size feet, they're not going to shrink. And I've worn the same size shoes since I was probably 12 years old. I've had same size feet my whole life. If anybody ever wanted to measure my feet and compare it to the track or the footprint that is right next to my foot in the picture, they're more than welcome to. Um, but once again, I wish I would have had casting material with me to cast the track. But like I said, I was packed up for a Bigfoot conference, not for a Bigfoot investigation. So doesn't usually play out the way we want it to with finding evidence or being able to collect it as best we can. Sometimes the best we can do is get a picture of it and have something of measurable size, consistent measurable size in the picture, whether that's your footprint or a ruler, even a 12-ounce can of pop on its side is a measurable size dimension because those are universal. They don't change. So when you are out there investigating, when you are out there looking for evidence, or even if you stumble across it, not even expecting to find it, the best you can do is try to collect the evidence and make sure you document it, whether it's with several photographs, casting it, collecting eDNA from it. Um, it's what you can do. And of course, afterwards, you're going to think, I should have done this, I should have done that. But when you're there in the moment, all you can do is all you can do, right? So until next week's show, stay curious out there and go exploring. You never know what you might find. Until next week.